Let's all stand together. When you pray tonight, remember Stephen back there. I know he hasn't been feeling well this week. It's been rough on him. I think he worked too hard Saturday. Did you overdo it, Stephen?
I guess.
You guess?
Yeah.
So pray for him, lift him up, would you? And Kim Montgomery's dad, continue to remember him. He really just needs a touch from the Lord. Several more that we could add to that list. But Hillary, will you open us up with prayer?
Father God, as we come to you tonight, Lord, I just pray that you just remember these needs, Lord. We just bring them to you, and we just lay them at your feet, Father God. Lord, we come expecting you to move, Father. So we just welcome you into this place, Father God. Lord, we just ask that we all just be aware of your presence, Father God, and to open our hearts and allow you to move within us, Father God. Lord, I just ask that we leave changed. Lord, I just ask your blessing over this service. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
we said that's going to be our new theme. That's going to be our new thing. That's what we're going to be about. We're going to go after the ones that are lost, the ones that are out there that nobody thinks has a chance. The modern day Pauls, the ones that people have given up on, the ones who think that there's no hope. And then we're going to bring them in here. And we're going to share Jesus with them. Or we're going to go out there and we're going to share Jesus with them there. And we're going to make it a point to be intentional in what we do. And that's what this song is about too. It talks about how Jesus will leave the 99 to come after the one. And at some point in time, you were that one. It wasn't that you wanted to be found. It wasn't that you were looking for a Savior, but He left the 99 in the comforts of His fields to find the one. See what I'm saying? He cared enough to go after you in your stubborn rebelliousness, in your wickedness, in your time where you thought you could be the shepherd. God left everything to come for the one. He wanted the one. He wanted to throw you on His shoulder. He wanted to bring you back. He wanted to bring you back to His love, to His way, where He could lay in the opening of the pen and He could be the gate. And tonight as we worship, let's remember that we're, number one, that we were the one, and then that we're also called to go after the one. And remember, we said Sunday, we're not going back to mediocre. We're not going back to lukewarm. We're not going back to just coming to service and walking through the motions, but we're going somewhere. And we have purpose when we come to praise. And we have power when we come to praise. When we come to the house of God, we call upon Him. And this is our chance. You see, people give like half-heartedly to worship. This is the only part of service that we give anything back. The rest of the time is God given to us. So as we worship Him, let's just pour out our love on Him. I'm not trying to stir up some kind of emotion, but I am kind of trying to stir up some kind of response to God tonight. And as you listen to the words of these songs, I think it's going to stretch your heart. It's going to make you realize that you're that one that He's leading with His reckless love to come after and to find you. Don't miss the moment tonight. This is our midweek service. This is our chance to meet together and worship Him.
Before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. You have been so good to me. Before I breathe a breath, you breathe
To those who come and they humble themselves at your feet, pastor, God. And Lord, tonight I just pray, God, that you'd break through any of our apathy, God, and show yourself strong, God. And that we would put our focus and our life in your hands for you to lead us on the greatest adventure of our life, which is just simply your will for our lives. Lord, open up your word. Let it be a lamp unto our feet, a light unto our path, God. Give us clarity of mind tonight, God. Help us to find you, Lord, in the midst of everything that we do. In your name I pray. Amen. You can be seated. All right. So we're in Acts chapter 23 tonight. Acts chapter 23. And we are making our way slowly but surely through all of this. And it has been a fun journey for me. I will say that. Acts is such a great example for the modern church to get behind. I did this, I got all these things together today. We're going to do a little bit of a review. And I was getting all this together and I was running around acting crazy trying to get all of my stuff in line for tonight. And then I left it all at home, which is what we do. You know, you run around and you try to find all of your stuff, and then next thing you know, it's time to go and you're running everybody out of the house, and you don't have what you need, which is why I'm looking for my little click thing that I normally use. Chris, you may have to run those for me till I can find what I'm looking for here.
Your clicker?
What's that?
Your clicker?
Yeah, my little presenter thing. I don't know where it was in my bag at one time. Wasn't on my stand up here. All right. All right. So look here. We are going through Acts here, and I figured it would be a good time to do a review. And so we're going to do a few of these, and if you know the answer, I don't know, maybe shout it out, or I don't know, raise your hand, something. But let's see what our knowledge is so far. Who was this book addressed to as found in Acts chapter 1, verse 1? Was it Theophilus, Pilate, Caesar, or Peter? Hey, the majority says A. Okay, and that is correct. All right, going on to the next one. Who took the office formerly held by Judas at the end of the first chapter of Acts? Was it Stephen, Barsabbas, Matthias, or Philip? Matthias is the correct answer. Who was the other one that was in the running? Or Justice, I think he was also called. All right, go to the next one. What? Now this one may trick. What Jewish festival was occurring at the time of that the Holy Spirit appeared in the second chapter, giving the disciples the ability to speak in tongues? Was it Passover?
It was a Passover.
You are not correct. All the quick ones to pull your gun and fire. Feast of the Tabernacles, Purim, or yeah, that's what it is. Shabbat. And what that is it's the 50th day after the Sabbath of Passover week. Yep. All right, next one. What member of the council judging the apostles stated, "Let them alone, for if this plan or this undertaking is of man, it will fail, but if it is of God, you will not be able to overthrow." That's Caiaphas. Yeah, Lou. Anna or Joseph of Arimathea. Who was it? What? That is correct. It is. Yeah, I don't know. I'll give it a good notice like you guys will. All right, next one. What controversy at the beginning of the 6th chapter calls men to be specially chosen to care for widows? Number one, what are we talking about? What position are we referring to there? The men that were specially chosen to care for the widows. What is that called? The deacons. Or, probably in this church we would call it the elders. What controversy at the beginning of the 6th chapter calls men to be specially chosen to care for the widows? Was it the Hebrew widows were neglected? The disciples were neglecting their preaching duty? Money was missing from the fund? Or the Hellenist widows were neglected? It is. The Hellenist he said, Alexander the Great come through. He conquers all this territory. He does all this, and he instills them in Judaism in the meantime. So, but the people of Jerusalem, of course, didn't love it, so they separated them out. You had the hellish Jews, and then you had the Jews of Jerusalem. All right, next one.
Matthew.
No, but if that'll work, I'll use it. Paul had a dream about a man begging for help. Where was this man from? Egypt, Macedonia, Rome, or Ethiopia? Macedonia. Correct. Correct. Is any of this ringing bells for the ones of you who've been here? Some of these coming back to you? Do you feel smarter? Yeah. All right. On to the next one. In chapter 19 of Acts, Demetrius of Ephesus felt threatened by the gospel. What was Demetrius' job? Wow. I'm impressed that we all knew that one. That's good. Yeah, silversmith. He definitely wasn't a priest, a carpenter, or a soldier. All right. Who was Saul's first missionary companion? Apollos, Matthias, Silas, or Barnabas? Barnabas. Barnabas is correct. Remember, he went out with Barnabas and he went out with John Mark. And then John Mark left him midway through the journey and made Paul mad to the point where he didn't want his help ever again till much, much later in life. All right? All right. The next one. At Lystra, which god was Paul mistaken for? Zeus is not correct. Hermes. Yes, Hermes is correct. Hermes is the gold answer tonight. Remember, he was one and his companion was the other. So, you know. Hermes? I do not know. We looked at it, but I don't remember what it was. How did Stephen die at the end of the 7th chapter of Acts? By a sword, crucifixion, stoning? Drowning. Now, it's interesting that Stephen died of stoning, but yet Paul got stoned, got up and walked away from him. All right, next one. What sin did Ananias and Sapphira commit according to Acts chapter 5, 1 through 11? They stole from the communal treasury, they failed to pay taxes, they persecuted Christians, or they lied to the Holy Spirit?
Lied to the Holy Spirit.
Lied to the Holy Spirit. Yeah, you probably can get by on that. Yeah. Yeah. And what's bad, you know, they bring Sapphira in first. Okay. They brought in Ananias first, and then they said that the very guards that dragged her husband out here were dragged out to him immediately. He died. That's not. All right. Who offered to pay Peter and John for the gift of giving others the Holy Spirit in the 8th chapter? Was it Ananias, Simon, Candace, or Priscilla? Simon. Yep. I don't have any really hard ones tonight. Y'all are lucky. All right. Still in the 8th chapter, who explained a passage from Isaiah to an Ethiopian eunuch? It is Philip. James, John, Philip, or Peter? It was Philip. And I love that scripture there when it's talking about Philip, because it mentions that Philip is in one place and then all of a sudden he's in another place. And it doesn't say that he traveled there. It doesn't say that he walked there. He was literally in one place and then he was somewhere totally different after that. What was not true about the disciple Tabitha when she was mentioned in Acts 9:36 through 43? Her name is translated as Dorcas. She was Peter's sister-in-law. She did a lot of charitable works, or she was raised from the dead. Which one was not true?
She was Peter's sister-in-law.
Yeah, she was not Peter's sister-in-law. She was not. All right, one more. All right, on the road to Damascus, Saul suddenly saw a light and was confronted by a voice. Finish the quote from Acts 9:4. Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting my people, me, my church, or the truth?
My people.
Hey! Close! But no. So, why are you persecuting me? Okay, go ahead, Chris, and walk me to the next part. So, we're in chapter 23. Now, we didn't meet last week, so hopefully you're on your toes. But we didn't meet last week, but we met 2 weeks ago, and we went through part of 21, and then we went through 22. Up to this point, what would you say has been your favorite part of what's going on? Anybody?
Chapter 7.
All right. Any of them. accusers are there. He dusts himself off. He walks back into town. He doesn't leave immediately. That's what I really like about it, because you'd think he'd run for the hills now that somebody tried to kill him. But no, he goes back to town. He spends the night, gets up the next day, leaves on his own time. I kind of like Paul's attitude through all this. It's been pretty interesting to see. One of my favorite things that I've seen is the pattern that Paul always takes. He always does some of the same things. He always goes into town. He finds the temple, and he starts preaching there. He starts talking there. He meets with the people there. When they kick him out of there, he just goes and finds somewhere else to go. He always meets with the scholars. One of the things I like about him is when he met with the scholars at different points, that when any time where they didn't want to talk about the deity of Jesus, he said, I'm out. And he left. And he left them with it. Like, if they didn't want to discuss how Jesus was God, he was like, all right, well, I'm done. And even though he was smart enough to discuss Jewish law, he was smart enough to discuss all these different things, as soon as they didn't want to credit Jesus as God, he just left. And I like that multiple times he's tried, people have went after his life, but he continues to rise above. He continues to live. And you know that, especially knowing that he later dies, that Jesus is allowing him to live for this certain period of time. So it makes you understand, even in your own life, that you're appointed once to die. And before that, unless you take your own life, you're going to live. God allows him to live, even when he's told multiple times if he goes to certain places, he is going to die. And I love it. I love that part that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, where he talked about the Holy Spirit impressed upon him that if Paul went back, he was going to die, but Paul goes anyway. I mean, we just do not see that level of Christianity anymore that says, you know what, even the Holy Spirit's warning me, if I go back, I'm going to die. And still Paul says, yeah, it is, but I'm here to finish the race. And I'm so committed to the cause, I'm just going to keep on trucking on, keep on going. Anybody else? Favorite part of Acts so far? Don?
My discussion overall of the book of Acts, prior to this, the Holy Spirit isolated incident where God is by the Holy Spirit, and even in the Old Testament a couple of places. This is the real outcoming of the Holy Spirit, the third person in the Godhead. And I did a little searching, and 62 times in the book of Acts it says the Spirit led, or the Spirit told them, or impressed by the Spirit. And to me, that gives us a relationship that's alive, instead of just having some religion where we can go through rituals and that kind of thing. This is a live relationship.
Yeah. And it's so much more than just a commitment of sorts. It's this active relationship that we're partnering with the Holy Spirit to accomplish the will of God. And one of the things that I noticed, and we've talked about several times, is that, we always get caught up in the miracles. We love the miracles. I love the story where Peter's walking down the road and his shadow's falling on people and it's healing them. But it was never about the miracles. It was about the message. But the miracles came to further the message. The miracles came to prove the message, because the message had to be passed on to as many people as it could so they would be saved and come to know Jesus. And so it said at certain times, it said the power was displayed so they might believe the message. And the message is still the most important things, telling people about Jesus and about salvation and how they can have life with him.
I like the fact that the way that the book of Acts ends, it really doesn't end. It's open-ended.
Yeah.
It should be continuing, because the acts of the Holy Spirit should be happening right now, happening today.
And there's so many titles because Paul wrote so much of the New Testament. It gives us, Acts gives us a general overview of Paul's journey. And then when you dive into 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, Thessalonians, you go into all these places, you get to see in detail what he spoke to that group of people that he visited for that period of time. And you get to tie all of that message back to in Acts where he was journeying through there. And he made his journey there. All right, let's start off tonight, all right? There's not a lot of verses in here. This is not the shortest chapter we've had, but it is a short one. Only 35 verses, 34. But let's look at it together. All right. Verse 1. Paul looked straight at the Sanhedrin. Now I guess I need to give an overview about what's happening at this point. Paul has headed back to Jerusalem against everybody's advice that he's going to die. So Paul's headed back to Jerusalem. And then, on top of that, he gets there and they accuse him of bringing a Gentile into the temple, which he did not do. He was just seen with the Gentiles. So they accuse him of that. they start rioting around him. They're going to kill him. And then all of a sudden, the guard grabs him and saves him, basically. And the guard doesn't even know that it's Paul. He thinks it's some guy that's led a revolt on Mount Calvary. And I think that there was probably a bounty on that guy. And that was probably the reason the soldier was trying to get it, because everybody wanted to know who it was. And I bet the guy was a little disappointed when he found out it was Paul. And so now Paul has asked that could he address the crowd. And so he addresses the crowd. And then this is where we pick up here. So Paul looked straight at the Sanhedrin and said, "My brothers, I have fulfilled my duty to God in all good conscience to this day." Now, just listen to what he said. "I have fulfilled my duty to God in all good conscience to this day," because the rest really doesn't make sense. Verse 2, "At this, the high priest Ananias ordered those standing near Paul to strike him on the mouth. And then Paul said to him, 'God will strike you, you whitewashed wall. You sat there to judge me according to the law, yet you yourself violate the law by commanding that I be struck.'" When he calls him a whitewashed wall, what he's saying is below the surface, you're corrupt. You look pretty from the outside, but below the surface, you are corrupt. And just like a whitewashed wall, what a great term there. All right, verse 4, "Those who were standing near Paul said, 'How dare you insult God's high priest?' And Paul replied, 'Brothers, I did not realize that he was the high priest, for it is written, do not speak evil about the ruler over you.'" Now let's stop right there. No further. All right. Now, there's two thoughts on why Paul didn't understand. I got it, Chris. I got control now. There's two thoughts on why Paul says, "Hey, I didn't know that this was the high priest." Now, there's belief that Paul had bad eyesight, so maybe he didn't recognize that that's who it was. And then there's also belief that there's some sarcasm. You know, hey, I did not realize it was the high priest because he wasn't acting like the high priest. That's the one that we want to go to. This guys are like, "Yeah, let's talk some noise to the high priest right in front of everybody," to the point where we get beat up. All right. Paul looked earnestly at the council, and Paul began his message before the Sanhedrin. He's got this great, imagine, there's some of you in here who have preached and have taught. Imagine you've got a crowd. You're in front of the Sanhedrin, the highest official there at the temple. You're in front of these people. You're in front of all these ones, and you're standing there. Now you've got this huge crowd, and Paul has been waiting to grandstand. And it's in a way he probably thought to be innocent enough. But he simply said, "I have lived in all good conscience before God until this day." And then he gets commanded to get struck. What do you think it was about that bothered him so bad? And before I go any further, these notes are in YouVersion under events. If you go to events, you can pull them up and you can follow them on your phone. All of them are there. They're always there on Sunday. They're always there on Wednesday, but I want to remind you in case you want to follow along and you want to make notes of your own. So what is the reason that you think that they struck him? I didn't catch this reading through. Okay, all Paul says is, "I have lived in all good conscience before God until this day." Why do you think that the Sanhedrin ordered that he be struck in the mouth at that point?
That to be serving God, to be preaching Christ.
Okay? The notes that I have, I pulled from where a group of kind of scholars, they discuss these things. And it says, Paul's not trying to say he was sinless, or sinlessly perfect, and that his conscience had never told him he was wrong. Rather, he meant that he responded to his conscience when he had done wrong and had set things right. Paul's not saying, I'm without guilt. Nor would Paul ever consider a clear conscience as a way to be justified before God. Paul might appeal to the testimony of his conscience as he stood before the Supreme Court of Israel, and it was on no righteousness of his own, however, that he relied for justification in the heavenly court. The purest conscience was an insecure basis of confidence under the scrutiny of God. And so Paul's statement, he says this if you look at 1 Corinthians 4:4, he says, "For I know nothing against myself, yet I am justified by this, but he who judges me is Lord." So it says, and then it talks about the high priest struck him. It said, declaration, he had lived in all good conscience before God until this day, drew the wrath of the high priest. He was offended that someone accused of such serious crimes would claim a clear conscience. So he said, you're accused of all these great crimes. You're going to stand before me and blaspheme what I believe and say that you're guiltless, basically. And it was a pride thing. It was an issue of pride for Ananias. And so what happens, it says, so Paul gets mad, right? And he says, God will strike you, you whitewashed wall. Well, we don't really know the tone of Paul's rebuke here, but we know that it was accurate and it was justified. Like I said, we don't know if he's kind of being a little bit sarcastic, if he's being a little tough on him, but the high priest indeed was a whitewashed wall. Like we said, it was kind of something that was hiding corruption. The high priest was also not only to be, he wasn't only supposed to administer the law, but to be an example of it. And his command to have Paul struck was in fact contrary to both the spirit and the letter of the law. Deuteronomy 25:1 and 2 says, only a man found guilty could be beaten. And Paul had been found guilty of nothing. So the reason that he calls him out is because, number one, he was breaking the law, which Paul probably knew better than he did. And then Ananias, who was the high priest at the time, was a man who did no honor to the office. He was well known for his greed. The ancient Jewish historian Josephus tells us of how Ananias stole for himself the tithes that belonged to the common priest. So he took the money. And so we're kind of seeing who these people really are. And I think it's interesting that we're talking about the religious body of the time who would have up to this point been considered righteous in their actions, but they're being exposed under the light of Jesus and they're actually very corrupt. And it makes you wonder what the people look at the church today and they think the same thing. All right, moving on. We got to move on. Then Paul, knowing that some of them were Sadducees and the others Pharisees, called out to the Sanhedrin, my brothers, I am a Pharisee, descended from Pharisees, and I stand on trial because of the hope of the resurrection of the dead. And when he said this, a dispute broke out between the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and the assembly was divided. The Sadducees say that there is no resurrection, and that there are neither angels nor spirits, but the Pharisees believe all these things. There was a great uproar, and some of the teachers of the law who were Pharisees stood up and argued vigorously. We find nothing wrong with this man, they said. What if a spirit or an angel has spoke to him? So you've got two conflicting bodies here, the Pharisees and the Sadducees. And one is saying, hey, what if some being has spoken to him? What if some angel or some spirit has spoken to him? And who are we to say that he's not telling the truth? And of course, the others are saying, hey, we don't believe in that jazz anyway.
What's interesting that I got from this part was that you always hear about Sadducees and Pharisees. You always kind of lump them together.
Yeah.
But there's a big difference in what they're saying right here. There really is.
And so, and Paul he takes advantage of this and kind of uses this play to divide party lines and to get one side on his side. And the Sadducees were the religious liberals of their day and denied the reality of life after death and the concept of resurrection. Luke rightly says to them, Sadducees say that there is no resurrection and no angel or spirit. And you remember even in other places in Acts when he was going there, that was the hardest thing for people to believe was that there was a life after death. That you could live again after you die. The Pharisees were more likely to find some ground of agreement with Paul, being the fundamentalists of their day. So the Sadducees were the religious liberals, but the Pharisees were the fundamentalists of the day. They took the Bible seriously, even if they did err greatly by adding the traditions of men to what they received in the Bible. And Paul told him, he said, I am a Pharisee. He knew his audience. So he refers to his heritage as a Pharisee and declares, concerning the hope and resurrection of the dead, I am being judged. And he knew this was a hot issue between the two parties. Paul was not dumb in his number one, his religious standings as a Jew. He had been the highest keeper of the law. That's why he was persecuting Christians Yeah,
How they,
how that came about.
yeah.
All right, and it says now in verse 10, the dispute became so violent that the commander was afraid Paul would be torn to pieces by them. And he ordered the troops to go down and take him away by force and bring him into the barracks. Can you imagine something getting so violent, so crazy, that your only hope of him even surviving is to bring him out? Now, why would they worry about bringing him out? Why would they even care if Paul was killed? Because he's a Roman citizen. That's why, they started beating him in the beginning. He said, hey, I'm a Roman citizen. You can't do this to me. And,
He played all his cards there.
yeah. And like I said, he plays that card as a Roman citizen, and it ultimately brings about his death in the end. But in the meantime, they would have killed him. They would have walked away had he not been a Roman citizen. They would have let him die right there. Because it wouldn't have been any value to them to keep him alive. It wouldn't have been anything, taken away anything by him doing that. All right. Verse 11. The following night, and I love this. If you're a minister or you've been through difficult times, you'll love this passage here. Verse 11. The following night, the Lord stood near Paul and said, take courage, as you have testified about me in Jerusalem, so you must also testify to me about me in Rome. Now look, the following night, the Lord, God himself, Jesus maybe even, speaks to Paul and says, take courage. Take courage. Why would he tell Paul to take courage? Why? Because Paul's defeated. He was beat down. He had been through an emotional battle. And so God sees that and speaks to Paul directly. Now, God's going to speak to you directly and tell you to take courage. He has to be somewhat pleased in what you're doing. He has to be. And so, God, we can read over that verse, and you can read through this chapter, and you can say, oh, that's nothing. But the Lord stood, it didn't say that the Lord from heaven spoke to Paul. It said the Lord stood near Paul. And he said, take courage. As you testified about me in Jerusalem, so you must also testify me in Rome. So now Paul realizes that he's going to get to do the thing that he's wanted to do all along. He's wanted to go to Rome. Now, let's talk about this for a minute. Sometimes, even in ministry, even in life, God will give you what you desire. Paul wanted to go to Rome. He had made several mentions about wanting to go to Rome. And so before he died, God provided a way for him to go to Rome. I think it's some of that. You know that God will give you the desire to write that verse. I think that our desires become God's desires. Or really the opposite way. God's desires become our desires. In such a way where we're working in such a way hand in hand with God that we want to do the same things as him because we've got such an ear to what he's doing. We're just moving in the spirit from one thing to the next. And I'm telling you, the only place you're ever satisfied is when you're operating inside of the total will of God. I laid awake at night because I knew that, I probably should have done this, God. I've been burdened in my heart before because I knew that I was supposed to do something and maybe I shied away from it or maybe I didn't do it and I had to lay awake at night. But sometimes, when you're moving and you're caught up in the Spirit of God and you're moving together, it's all of a sudden you like the things that God's doing. That's what I've told you about before. I'm not afraid to be called to the mission field. I'm not afraid to be called over here. I'm not afraid because I know that's the only place that my heart's going to be satisfied because that desire is the desire that God put inside of me. So I don't worry about where he's taking me to next. I just worry about, am I listening to him? And when I get there, I know I'll be satisfied. At least I can sleep at night knowing that I'm doing the will of God. Not that it'll be easy, but that I'm doing the will of God. All right. So now, there's a plot to kill Paul. Verse 12. The next morning, some Jews formed a conspiracy and bound themselves with an oath not to eat or drink until they had killed Paul. These are the religious leaders, guys. This is the church of the time. It's hard for me to believe because we think it's like the government or something, but it's not. It's the church. They're going to kill Paul. And they're going to take a vow here that they're not going to eat or drink until he's dead. Now, more than 40 men were involved in this plot. This is the pretext of wanting more accurate information about his case. And we are ready to kill him before he gets here. Listen to what they're saying. Go lie to the commander. This is the church. Go lie to the commander to have Paul brought here, saying that we want more accurate information about his case. But it's not. They want to kill him. And they're okay with lying in order for Paul to be killed. They excuse lying as something acceptable between them and God. Now, whether they believed in Jesus or not, I'm pretty sure they knew God's stance on lying. It had not worked out well for others in the past when they lied. And so now they're saying that they're okay with lying because it justifies their actions.
Do you think, Matt, that these same people knew Paul before his rose from that?
I would think it's very, very...
Because that would probably make him even mad. Here he was on our side, how he changed sides.
I would guarantee that some of the ones probably in the crowd were his friends when he was doing the things that they were doing. He was one of them. And he was high ranked. He wouldn't be, you know, like, imagine somebody that was really high ranked in our military. You would probably know him if you were in the military. You may not know him personally, but you would know who he was. Now, if you were high ranked in the military as well, you might have ate dinner at his house. I guarantee you that some of these people are in that same group. I guess I can't totally guarantee you since it doesn't say that, but I would make that, I would tie those two things together.
The Ten Commandments also says thou shalt not kill.
I know.
They commit murder.
And they're okay with that. And they're okay with the lying, they're okay with the killing, because what? It goes along with what they feel like is their plan. All right, let's move on. 16. But when the son of Paul's sister heard of this plot, he went into the barracks and told Paul. And then Paul called one of the centurions and said, take this young man to the commander. He has something to tell him. Now, it's interesting kind of like the chain of command here because, number one, that this centurion would even listen to Paul. I don't understand that. Maybe it's because he's a Roman citizen, he had it right. But the centurion does it. So he took him to the commander, the centurion said, and he said, Paul, the prisoner, sent for me and asked me to bring this young man to you because he has something to tell you. And the commander took the young man by the hand, drew him aside, and asked, what is it you want to tell me? And he said, some Jews have agreed to ask you to bring Paul before the Sanhedrin tomorrow on the pretext of wanting more accurate information about him. Do not give in to them, because more than 40 of them are waiting in ambush for him, and they have taken an oath not to eat or drink until they have killed him. And they are ready now, waiting for your consent to their request. And the commander dismissed the young man with a warning, don't tell anyone that you have reported this. The quickest way to ambush an ambush is to not let anybody know it's coming. And so, in order to foil their plan, he says, don't tell anybody else about this. Don't spread this around, that this is happening, that these people would come against you. And it said, you know, you just see their resolve to have Paul killed here. They just taken this oath. I mean, for any man, come on guys, we're not going to go very long without eating or drinking. I mean, that's just the reality of it. There's not a lot of things that we ever forsake eating or drinking. That's usually the first thing we want to do. Sunday we go to church and we're done. What do we want to do? We want to eat. I want to know where I'm going to eat. I want to know quickly. And so the fact that they would swear off eating or drinking means that it is a high personal conviction that they want Paul gone. Because you got to think, he has turned the church upside down. All right, verse 23. Then he called two of his centurions and ordered them, get ready, a detachment of 200 soldiers, 70 horsemen, and 200 spearmen to go to Caesarea at 9 at night. So they're going to move at night, and they're going to carry a whole lot of people with them. I don't know if they feared there was more than 40. I don't know what they're trying to do, but they said, hey, we're going to travel. We're going to make sure nothing happens to Paul because he is a Roman citizen. We're going to get him to where he needs to go. And it says, provide horses for Paul so that he may be taken safely to Governor Felix. And then we're going to look at this. He wrote a letter. It says he wrote a letter as follows, talking about this centurion. He wrote this letter. All right. they were about to kill him, but I came with my troops and rescued him, for I had learned that he is a Roman citizen. That's not quite exactly how this story went down. He was tipped off by somebody else. And that's how he came to know that Paul's going to get killed. He also doesn't mention anything here about the fact that he beat Paul before he knew he was a Roman citizen. Probably doesn't want to give that information out either, because it would have been his life had he had told that. All right, verse 28. I wanted to know why they were accusing him, so I brought him to their Sanhedrin. And I found that the accusations had to do with questions about their law, but there was no charge against him that deserved death or imprisonment. When I was informed of a plot to be carried out against the man, I sent him to you at once. I also ordered his accusers to present to you their case against him. Boy, he sounds like he has just done the right thing, doesn't he? It's funny, even then, the same things happen now. People, they're going to tell their story their way. 31. So the soldiers carrying out their orders took Paul with them during the night and brought him as far as Antipatris. And the next day, they let the cavalry go on with him while they returned to the barracks. And when the cavalry arrived at Caesarea, they delivered the letter to the governor and handed Paul over to him. And the governor read the letter and asked what province he was from. Learning that he was from Cilicia, he said, I will hear your case when your accusers get here. Then he ordered that Paul be kept under guard in Herod's palace. All right, so Felix agrees to hear Paul's case. And now Paul is in Rome, and he is awaiting his accusers to get there. Then usually with Paul, you got to give him credit, though. It didn't take long for his accusers to get there. Seems like every city that he goes to, it's not long before they're right behind him, and they're there stirring it up. You remember that's kind of what we saw multiple times, is Paul would go into a city, he would start preaching, and all of a sudden somebody from the last city would show up, they would stir up a revolt, they would either try to kill Paul or they would run him out of town, and then they would go on to the next thing. And so that's kind of what has happened now. So it won't be long before his accusers are there, and once his accusers are there, they will have a trial. And Paul will be put on trial, and which I guess he's not in Rome yet, is he?
This is Caesarea.
Right, this is Caesarea. And he will go to Rome later, but his case will be heard here, and then he'll be sent to Rome. And I think that's where he shipwrecks and all the other. Yeah, it becomes a little bit wild. Any questions about what has happened up to this point?
I wonder why they put him in Herod's house. It doesn't say why.
Well, you got to think too that it says that they had no reason to imprison him or to have him killed. So that what's going to happen is they're either going to turn him over to his own people to let them deal with him however they want to according to their own law, or they're going to free him. And so they had no reason to imprison him, so they wasn't going to put him in prison as a Roman citizen, so they put him up in kind of like a hotel. But we are definitely watching the end of Paul's life unfold. We are getting closer and closer and closer. And if you notice, though, even in the scripture, it's almost like the momentum is picked up. I mean, when you read it, it's almost like the momentum is picked up. There's a lot happening. And you can just tell that there's a lot happening with Paul. And as he gets closer and closer to his final appointment here on this earth, it's just like we are starting to move faster. Things are starting to happen at a faster pace. Pretty interesting the way that the scripture even reads from that standpoint. Any more questions?
When Paul first was converted, wasn't there some mention that eventually he would testify in Rome?
Yeah, he always had that in his mind that he wanted to go to
And
Rome.
so it's kind of like everything's working together to fulfill that plan. That was all a part of.
Yeah. And you got to think that was like of the modern world, that would be the grandest stage he could be on. And so he wanted to get to that place where he felt like he could reach the most people. And I think